Hi, I'm Jeanne Kelly, your credit coach. Thank you for joining me for Credit Over Coffee. And today I wanted to talk to you about general credit, right? My number one credit tip is make sure you know what's being reported about you. It's so important. You can do this for free at annualcreditreport.com. And if you go to my website, you'll even see a link for a free credit snapshot where you can get your a score, a summary, and quickly review your credit. So that is my number one rule. But now, after over 20 years of being in this industry, I have like my second tip, which is to keep learning about credit. Just sneak in my podcast, every week is really quick and short. And I always try to share in the moment whatever's happening in the credit news, besides my wonderful guests that I am so honored that they share their time with us. So if you could jump in to just be in the know about your credit, because things do change. What I learned when I got in this industry has changed over the years. So some of us have been lucky where we might have been educated about credit by our parents. But guess what? That information has changed, just like a lot of things have changed, right? So we have to continue to be in the know of what's happening now with our credit. And I've shared about changes with medical reporting, how medical debt can be on your credit report and what can happen about that. And lots of good news regarding medical debt, but also just more changes to come and to know about what score to be paying attention to. 90% of lenders at the moment are using your FICO score. So at the moment, you're going to want to know what your FICO score is. And of course, there's many versions. So it depends on what loan you need. And you can always purchase at myfico.com your credit report with your scores. And yes, there's a fee, but it does not cost as a credit inquiry. So you don't have to worry about your score because it's a good thing to be looking at your credit report. Always know when you're requesting it, whether that's directly through Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, going to annualcreditreport.com, purchasing a MyFICO credit report. When you're purchasing, that's healthy credit, because you should know what's being reported about you. You want to make sure it's accurate information. So that's a good thing, and it won't cost as a credit inquiry. So I just want to make sure you understand that. And also, sometimes it's really difficult for me when I am looking at a credit report and I want to share information, what's hurting your score and why your score might not be where you want it to be. And a lot of times it's hard for me because it's over a hard situation. Maybe someone was sick, or it's a divorce, or someone young signing on student loan debt that they really, they didn't understand what they were getting involved in. And I'm just the messenger, right? So it's my job sometimes is a difficult one because I know how frustrating it can be to be stuck with a credit score we're not happy with, right? And then you hear the news of why, and it brings you back to a place you don't want to relive. But at the same time, we need to want to learn about credit. And that's my the second tip that I want to give when it comes to credit, just to keep learning. Because a lot of times when someone has a financial hiccup, right? And we don't want to open the mail. We don't want to think about the debt that we might have occurred on our credit reports, and we're not sleeping at night. And just an awful mess, financial mess we might have got ourselves into. We don't want to think about it, but then we stay there. And I've had so many so many people that might have had a financial hiccup, and it could even be 5 years ago, but they haven't let go of that mistake. And then they haven't been building healthy credit on top of having some financial hard time. So yes, it can take time, 100% it can take time to rebuild your credit. But if you're not rebuilding it, you're just keeping it with the negative information. And that's just something I wanted to make sure that that clicks. Like, if you, let's just say, had a bankruptcy, a foreclosure, some collections, and you've been rebuilding your bank account. You've said, okay, I had that, my score dropped, big financial mess a couple of years ago. So I'm just going to be counting on, using my debit card and bringing cash around and things like that. So then that means that negative information is, yes, on your credit report. It happened. But then where's any new activity? Where is some, like, you are being financially responsible of wanting to not get yourself in trouble again financially, but where are you rebuilding that? So you're rebuilding it by counting on yourself, which is fabulous, but there's no new history on your credit report. So if you are wanting to rebuild your credit, it's just having all the old information from a few years ago, but that's it. That's what's on there. And so think of like a balancing act, that it's a negative information staying down, but you're not putting anything on it to help it build back up. So just remember that you want to be using companies like a secured credit card to rebuild, or there's so many services, and I talk about it on my blogs, that can link some of our subscription services with a credit card. And then that can report, or a loan, that it's a loan actually to ourselves. And then that can go on the credit report. So it's not about getting into another financial problem, but you don't want to disappear. You don't want to just keep the negative and not add new healthy credit. So even though we we all could have had a financial struggles and made some poor poor choices with our credit. As you know, my story, I definitely have had challenges with my credit, and that's what got me into this industry. But we have to make sure we're investing back into our future with our credit, because a year, 2 years, 3 years, it does go by fast. And if you do nothing, then you're still with that lower score where you could have been step by step rebuilding your credit report, adding positive information. And it takes time, but we know how fast time goes by. Sometimes I'll talk to someone and they're going to get a secured credit card and a secured loan. And I check in a quarter later or 6 months later, and they were too busy to do that. Now we just lost all that time. Don't be too busy to invest in your credit. And don't be afraid of credit. Let's learn to use credit in a healthy way so it can save us money, not cost us money. And if you go to my website, jeannekelly.net, I have on there in the tools and resources tab at the top, you'll see that there's a calculator for debt, how to pay off debt quicker. And if you read the blogs, you'll see about many tools and services for adding healthy credit. Keep the credit questions coming my way as well, because that's what I know then you want to hear about for the next podcast, because I thank you and appreciate you for listening. So I know today it's real quick, but I just wanted to share with you that here we are in 2023. And I almost want to say that, as important as it is, my number one rule: be aware of what's being reported about you. Make sure you're reviewing your credit reports. It's almost equal to say, keep learning about credit, because usually no one has really taught us about credit. So we want to be learning about credit and in the moment. So thank you. And please subscribe share my podcast, and keep the questions coming. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. To your healthy credit.